Thank you. And I think when I was asked to present this, the first disclaimer is that I've been working in the post-harvest area for the last 2 decades, working with agri-commodities, their quality, and the entire value chain thereafter. But at the input side, I have been involved in creating networks of automatic weather stations, wherein we were able to collect, collate, archive, and disseminate weather data from various agricultural input areas, where agricultural farms, very close to agricultural farms, which possibly IMD does not have any weather stations, even though today they have agromet stations and district agromet units are available. But several years ago, 2 decades ago, 15, 20 years ago, there were not any. And we conducted the first pilot. And this was with respect to weather-based crop insurance schemes that came to replace the national agricultural insurance schemes, which was basically to ensure that any loss of moisture in the soil and therefore resulting in a drought situation, yielding and resulting in net loss of yield, and they could be underwritten by insurance companies to the extent of the loss. And weather was used as an index, as indices, and the weather parameters were used as indices to calculate the loss, and therefore the risk was to be mitigated based on the weather base. So therefore, what I'll try and do in the next half an hour is to take you quickly through what it means to be the soil moisture, how are the soil moisture being assessed today, and what are the various decision support schemes, both from private and public, that have come in the last 15, 20 years, with little amount of success, failure, all of them put together. I have tried to list out all of them and see how they could help in creating a best practice for creating a good yield. So, to begin with, the soil moisture refers to the quantity of water in the ground spores within the subsurface, and the moisture content of the soil depends on factors, several of them. Of course, the topography, the weather, the climate, and also the species of plant that is particularly growing there. Now, definitely soil moisture is the one which is available to the plant, and therefore it's very important. And also the ground structure, the thickness, the heat capacity of the soil, all of them are regulated by the soil moisture. And therefore soil moisture happens to be a very, very important factor with respect to the soil, which is the uppermost crust of the earth. Now, when we look at the impact of soil moisture on plant growth and therefore finally the productivity. So we know that the roots of the plants absorb water first, so their condition directly depends on its amount and aeration in the soil. And the optimal range of soil moisture for various crops is anywhere between 20% and 60% on an extended range. Now, whenever there is a long drought, you will see a wilt. When there is a moisture deficit, then you will find that the various phenological stages of the plant growth are going to be curtailed. When there is optimum level, all the phenological parameters of the plant growth are as per the expected lines. And the same is true if there is going to be moisture excess. Again, that does not help because the soil ecosystem does not support the growth of the plant. That means in terms of soil moisture, texture is important, the structure is important, the total organic matter in the soil is important, and all of this, along with the soil density, soil temperature, soil salinity, and the depth of the soil. Now, all of this put together will have a final say on whether the plant is going to face a water deficit, water excess. Now, so we are saying that soil moisture is very important from the point of view of the soil itself. Second, the soil moisture is important from the point of view of plant growth. Now, having said this, there are two important factors. One is the field capacity. Field capacity of a soil is the soil is wet and contains all the water it can. That is the holding capacity. What is the amount of soil that it can hold? That's the field capacity. And there is another important parameter, which is a permanent wilting point. That is, the soil is dry to a point that it can no longer extract any more water through its roots from the soil. That means it has to wilt and cannot get back to its next phenological growth stage. Now, these two are important from the point of view of the fact that when this is also determined by, to a greater extent, by the type of the soil. So, apart from a variety of factors that determine the soil moisture content, one of the most important is the intrinsic nature of the soil in terms of whether they are sandy, loamy, silty, clayey, or a combination of them. So these are the ground textures that we discussed earlier that has an impact on the soil moisture. So if you look at this table very simply, it says that the total available water, say for example in sand is 7%, which is the field capacity 12% minus the permanent wilting point at 5%. So at 5% it will permanently wilt. And if the field capacity is 12, the total available water is 12 minus 5 is 7. And this is what determines whether a plant is at FC, plant is at PWP, or the plant has enough TAW. Now, this is with respect to the percent water that is going to be available to a plant. And of course, the ability of the plant, the nature of the plant, in addition to the texture, will also play a role in determining how we come across this total available water. So even though the total available water in a particular soil texture may be a particular percentage, but some of the plants may not be able to access those by virtue of their own intrinsic nature. So just to put very simply that soil moisture is important, and they are important for several reasons. And soil moisture has an important part to play in the growth of the plant. And the growth of the plant is determined objectively by numbers with respect to the field capacity, the permanent wilting point, and of course, the total available water. Now, this has therefore soil moisture therefore has a bearing on how and what would be the agricultural crop production. Of course, it also has an impact on the productivity per unit of the land, that is the productivity. Now, if you look at the wide range of agroclimatic zones that we are endowed with, now each of the agroclimatic zone in itself has a different set of crops, different set of water needs, and different type of water those are available. So we could have completely a monsoon dependent or rainfall dependent geographies, and some geographies are irrigated geographies. So, for example, the northwestern plains, the typical crops being wheat, rice, maize, cotton, which encompasses the heartland of UP, Rajasthan, Haryana, Punjab. Now, these crops in these geographies are high water requirements. And all of us know with respect to rice and sugarcane, which are the guzzlers, as compared to wheat and mustard, which are relatively less. Now, the irrigation through canals, tube wells, groundwater, all of them are currently available in this region. The Gangetic Plain with UP Bihar and the Bengal, again, rice, sugarcane, jute. Rice, again, is a guzzler. When it comes to wheat, pulses, and vegetables, they are moderate. Again, irrigation from rivers and canals. The Deccan Plateau with millets, pulses, oil seeds, and fruits and vegetables, cotton, fiber. Again, these are varied requirements. Like cotton and grapes require higher water needs as compared to the rest of the crops. Millets again are very rugged. We will see the amount of water in due course of time as to what each of these require in terms of water and how each kg of these produce require how many liters of water. So Western Ghats encompassing Kerala, Karnataka, Goa, again there's a spice land, tea, rubber, coffee. These again are in an area of abundant rainfall and natural sources of water, and they have moderate water requirement. But only emphasis is that needs to be well distributed across the geographies. Then eastern and northeastern states where tea is predominant and some amount of rice and steppe cultivation and corn and fruits and vegetables. Again, these are moderate. These are areas of high rainfall, including flooding, and excess water may be a problem in these areas. Then we have the arid region where Rajasthan, Gujarat, again, these are areas of low and moderate requirements because they predominantly grow millets, pulses, and obviously these areas have limited natural water resources. And finally, the Himalayan region encompassing Uttarakhand, Himachal, Arunachal, and J&K. So these again, these are river-fed, snow melt, and apple, corn, to an extent paddy, and all the various kinds of temperate fruits. They also require of irrigated water in moderate amounts.